Welcome to episode 100 of the Daily Confidence for Entrepreneurs. In this episode, you will discover why LinkedIn is a brilliant platform to generate leads, the secret to making your profile better than your competition, the key to make people want to speak with you, and you will watch Mostafa get exposed and coached by Jason Osborn. And Jason is going to do a profile teardown on my LinkedIn profile, and everybody's going to see it, and I'm going to be exposed and coached live. Now, this gang is the episode 100 of the Daily Conference for Entrepreneurs. It's been about 2 years or so. We started in the beginning of COVID, and I would have never thought that I would do 100 episodes in my podcast and my show. So I'm proud of it, and I personally have come a long way. Like if you check the early episodes and the first 10 episodes, I could barely talk and speak, and now I've learned basically how to, I guess, better listen to people, how to ask better questions, how to run the show, how to handle issues that happen during the show. So I've come a long way, and I have a very long way still to go. And the show has allowed me to connect with a lot of amazing people like Jason here. And it's been nothing but good. And I've learned quite a bit. So let me do the proper introduction to my friend Jason Osborn here. And we're going to dive into a very cool, interesting, and useful conversation, because a lot of people actually could use LinkedIn to generate leads, to get exposure, and the rest of it. And we're going to talk about all of that. So Jason actually gave me a very brief introduction, and I'm going to let him do the rest and introduce himself after. So Jason Osborn is a leading expert on LinkedIn, showing businesses around the globe how to generate high quality leads without being spammy or paying for ads. Welcome, Jason.
Hey, Mostafa, it's great to be here, man. Thanks for having me
Great
on
to
your
have you.
100th episode.
Thank you. Great to have you. And I am excited about this episode and talking with you, and honestly tearing down my LinkedIn profile and see what we could get out of it, basically. So, Jason, let's get into it. What is your story?
My story. So I had started online marketing 16, almost 17 years ago. But it was a bit of a journey. I'm from Texas originally. I moved to Ireland about 17 years ago, and then I live here in the UK in the North England near Leeds. So when I moved to Ireland, I was looking for a business to start up. I've always been quite entrepreneurial. Had my first business when I was 20 back in Texas, selling window coverings, selling blinds. And when I moved to Ireland, I didn't mind doing kind of like a brick and mortar type business, but I just kept hearing and was really intrigued by this whole internet marketing thing, this online business world. It was kind of wild west days back then, but I was just really fascinated with it. And I've always been really big on impact and helping people. So I thought, I wonder if I can combine these two things of interest to me. And so I trained up as a life coach, started marketing myself online, didn't really have a clue what I was doing online, but loved it. I just thought it was a lot of fun. And within 18 months, I had built up an email list of 9,000 people. I built up a worldwide business. I was coaching people in 13 different countries. And I started getting a lot of questions from people saying, well, how are you doing this? Like, what are you doing? And so my mentor at the time advised me to transition my business over to helping people with their online marketing and online businesses. And so that's what I did. So for the last 12 years or so, in one form or another, I've been involved in online business and helping people. And about 4 years, almost 4 years ago now, is when I really got focused in on LinkedIn. We can dive more into that and kind of what I've learned in my journey with that, because it just kind of came about. It wasn't something I was looking for, but I just kept hearing more and more people talking about how LinkedIn was an amazing platform to generate leads and business. And I was like, come on, really? Get out of here. Like it's just a resume website, isn't it? And so that's where my journey for LinkedIn specifically began. And now, of course, I mentor people all over the world on how to use LinkedIn to generate leads, to create business opportunities and market themselves through LinkedIn, which is a lot of fun. So that's very short story of my journey to where I am today.
Love it. Wow, you've come a long way. Like, were you born in Texas?
I was actually born in Phoenix, Arizona, but I grew up in Texas.
Oh, wow. Okay. So born in US, moved to UK. You've come a long way. You did life coaching, and you also sold window coverings and in the online world and the rest of it. Wow, that's very interesting story. And I know you've already touched on this, but could you give us more specific about what you do these days and who you serve?
Yeah, sure. So the primary people that I work with are anyone that is B2B or what I call business to professional. So let's say you're a coach or consultant, and your ideal type of prospects would be professionals. And, it could just be people as well, but it's professionals I like in the frame of what we do on LinkedIn, because the LinkedIn average income is way higher than Facebook and Instagram. Decision makers are there. And then also work with some people that have some of them are business to consumer, but how we reframe what they do to be able to market themselves on LinkedIn, we do that as well. So coaches, consultants, advisors, B2B, anyone selling, business to business consulting or products or services. So it's a wide range, and we work with people all over the world. So because it's a worldwide platform, so we can do that.
Fantastic. And now you specialize in LinkedIn.
Yeah. Specifically on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, Jason, what are the biggest mistakes that you see professionals and business owners make on LinkedIn?
The number one biggest mistake that I see is people still use, well, there's two, I'll give two. They still use it as a type of resume or CV website where they make their profile all about them. We'll go through your profile in a little bit, Mostafa, and we'll even if yours isn't all about you, I'll talk about the more common mistakes that people make around that, because people still create their profile like a online business card. But when you are wanting to generate leads and create interest from prospects, the reality is people don't really care about your history of CV, resume, job history, stuff like that. They want to know, how can you help me? So it has to be reframed. The second mistake that I see people making all the time, as a matter of fact, someone just sent me a message on LinkedIn earlier today, and I asked them, I was, what's your biggest challenge on LinkedIn? And they said, I don't get it. I just don't understand the platform. And I get that all the time. And the reason why is because people try to use LinkedIn like they do Facebook or Instagram, and you can't. It's a different platform. When people come onto the platform, the psychology mindset that they have when they come onto the platform is very different. So we can dive into more detail around that. But those are the two biggest mistakes I see people making.
The first one was it's all about them, and then the second biggest one was they just don't know how to use it, and
they're trying to use it like Facebook or Instagram, and they're trying to use it like a social platform. And LinkedIn, although it's classed as a social media website, it's actually a professional networking website, and the way you approach it's very different.
Very interesting. So why do you think a lot of people struggle on LinkedIn?
Well, again, it goes back to social media. They think it's social media. So if you look at Facebook and Instagram, what do we do as just normal people on Facebook and Instagram? We make posts, right? We make posts about our life and what we ate and holidays and vacations and picture of kids and cats and dogs and all that kind of stuff, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But when we go in on LinkedIn when we go on Facebook and Instagram as just an individual, what do? We just scroll, right? We're just there almost kind of mindlessly scrolling through stuff, just seeing what's on people's feed, and we just scroll. So what happens then is when people go on to use LinkedIn, they think, well, I have to do the same thing. So they just post content all the time. The difference, though, is when people go onto LinkedIn for whatever their role is, whether it's part of their role within their job as an employer or as their role as a business owner, they don't go on to LinkedIn to scroll. Right? They're not just sitting there going, I wonder what cat videos and what did so-and-so eat, and let me kind of, nose into, people's personal life. That's not what people are there for on LinkedIn. They're there to do business, right? They're looking for a solution to something. They're looking for an answer to one of their problems in business or as part of their role. They're in a different frame of mind. So when you have someone trying to just post content all the time, number one, it's very rare that content gets a lot of engagement on LinkedIn because it doesn't hit the LinkedIn algorithm correctly. And it's not actually properly using formatting and doing what you do on content on LinkedIn for it to actually generate traction. So you have to have a strategy outside of content, right? So content should be supplemental to a proactive, not spammy, not aggressive, but a proactive outreach, very targeted campaign for your prospects, not as the only thing you do. And so that is kind of an overview of why I see people when they go onto LinkedIn, why they get so frustrated with it. And I hear it all the time with stuff, and people go, I'm posting all the time, and I'm just not generating any leads. I'm like, yeah, I know.
100%. What should people actually post on LinkedIn?
So if we're looking at posting, stay away from what I'll call personal content. Now, I'm not saying 100%, but I'd say stay away from it most of the time. And what do I mean by that? If you post something about your cat, your kids, what you ate last night, a lot of people on LinkedIn actually get annoyed with that sort of stuff. Now, I'm not saying don't post anything personal, because we're all humans at the end of the day, and being able to post some things personal is fine because it helps people get to know the real you. You're not just some business robot talking about business stuff all the time. So you can do that, but the content that you should be posting on there, I'd say at least 75% of the time is value-added stuff that actually helps people for your target market to be able to move forward in some way. And if you do something like a personal post, I always try to relate that back somehow to business as well. Just so they can, so it's got that business element on there. Now, personal posts usually get more engagement, but more engagement doesn't mean leads, right? So sometimes when people see, I get more engagement when I do personal posts, I'm just do personal posts all the time. Well, all that means is people know about you, but they don't really understand how you help them, right? What's the benefit? How can you help them solve the challenges, pain points, and frustrations that they're having? So that's the type of content usually that I'd recommend posting on there.
Love it. So you talk about having a strategy in place other than posting content.
Yeah.
What would that look like?
So what you want to do is you want to strategically rather look at who your leads are. So who's your prospects? Who are you actually wanting to communicate and connect with? Now, before you even get into that, one of the other big mistakes and kind of challenges that people have on LinkedIn is they fall into what I call a commodity-based business. Okay. And what I mean by that is they position themselves in such a way, or their business in such a way, where they're just like everybody else, right? So let's just, I always, because I trained up as a life coach, I always like using this example because I was one. I still kind of bring in elements of that when I mentor people as well. But when you see someone post or put in their headline, life coach, accountant, CEO, what does that mean? It means nothing, right? What happens is people make a snap judgment on what you do. And so I hear a lot of times from clients, they'll go, yeah, but Jason, I'm different, right? I'm not just your regular life coach. I'm not just your regular accountant. It's like, yeah, but you're positioning yourself like every other life coach and every other accountant. So it's about how you frame what you do, which is really, really key. And so I always say, if you try to be everything to everyone, you'll end up being nothing to no one.
Yeah.
right? So you have to get
100%.
really clear on who you're, what do you actually do in terms of your outcomes, and who do you do it for? So the clearer that you can do that, and how you frame your profile and all that, everything kind of flows from that. Then what you can do is you can start a proactive outreach strategy, not spammy, okay, but proactive outreach strategy to your ideal clients, okay, as opposed to I help everybody, which I hear all the time. I'm sure you hear that as well, Mostafa, because you've got a lot of background in
100%.
this as well. It's like, just because you can help everybody doesn't mean you should help everybody. What I've found as well is when you're trying to help everyone, that usually comes from a place of scarcity, because you don't have enough business of your ideal clients. So you try to help everyone, and then it confuses people on what you do. So those are kind of some tips around that, on how to actually start targeting and being really specific on your marketing strategies.
Okay, so you want to make your profile specific to a specific group of people, not everybody, and you want to make it clear, I guess, what you do for them. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you want your prospects to self-identify, right? You want them to go, yeah, that's me. Okay, as
All right.
opposed to I help businesses. That's so broad. It just doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna do some fixing of that on my profile, I guess, here in a few minutes. Um, um, how would you say people should reach out to their connections or to their prospects on LinkedIn? What's the best way to approach people? Let's say that I've reached out to someone. Let's say I think Jason is a good prospect for me. Then I add Jason, and I send a message and say, Jason, for this and that reason, let's connect, and then we get connected. What are some of the next steps that I should do or follow to make sure that I connect with these people, and then perhaps work on prospecting and maybe set up a call or whatnot with them?
Yeah, so there's lots of things about how you initially connect with people, that you're not spammy as well. But the number one thing I'll say to not do is use automation tools. And this
Okay.
is something that a lot of people like using because it's easy, and people are lazy and they don't want to actually do anything. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to do all the work yourself, but automation tools, LinkedIn's actually proactively looking for any signs of automation tools, and they will suspend your account very, very quickly and eventually shut it down. So automation tools, I don't recommend them at all. And so even once you've connected with someone, what an automation tool will do is it'll automatically then send a written message that you've typed up to them. But the challenge with that is that it comes across as spammy, right? Because I always tell clients, it doesn't matter what tone of voice you write the message in, they will read it in whatever tone of voice they want to, right?
Yeah.
And it's very rare that people read it in the tone of voice you write it in, right? Because I'll write, hey, Mostafa, it's Jason. It's great to connect with you, and this is what I do, right? That sounds lovely in my head, but you read that, and you're not reading it that way, right? You're reading it, hey, Mostafa, this is Jason. I'm just spamming you again, like everyone else on here, to tell you about this stuff. Do you want to buy? So that's the way you read it. So it's about engagement. If you look at what LinkedIn has actually built their platform there for, it's to connect and build relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying you have to go through I call it the awkward high school dance, that really weird interaction you get with some people on LinkedIn, where they just go, hey, Mostafa, how's business? And you're like, fine, great. What's your biggest challenges this year? Who are you? It's that really weird exchange. It's like, why am I talking to you? So, but you want to be able to communicate with people in a way that doesn't come across as salesy or spammy that way in those written messages, but engages with them. So think of LinkedIn as a virtual in-person networking event. Right. So if you go up to someone at a networking event, so BNI, any networking event, anything like that, and I just walked up to you, Mostafa, and I said, hey, Mostafa, here's my card. When do you want to call? You'd be like, who are you? Like, yeah. Right? Like, what are you doing? So that's what people do, is that's kind of that first message. They're just shoving their business card in someone's face. But if I said, hey, Mostafa, great to meet you here. How long have you been coming to these networking meetings? Well, that's a natural, normal human interaction, right? So that's what you're kind of wanting to look at on LinkedIn is how do you just be real? And people might go, oh yeah, but that seems like the hard way. Well, hardly anyone's doing that on LinkedIn because everyone's spamming everyone. So it doesn't take a lot to stand out from above the crowd.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. So let's talk about the profile and what you need to do to make the profile better than your competition.
Cool. Let's
What
do
are
it.
some of the things that we need to do? I mean, we could probably start tearing down my profile.
Yeah, if you want to share yours, we'll just kind of we'll just go through that.
Okay.
And if you want to share your screen, and then we'll just go through that, and I'll just kind of break it down all the way there for you.
All right. Okay. So for some reason, because we're live here on Facebook, it is it's showing the live here on the top of my profile. Can you see my screen?
Yep, there it is. Perfect.
It's showing the live here, which seems to me is like something new. It wasn't happening before.
So are you in creator mode?
I am in creator mode. Yes.
Yep. Cool. So I'll talk about that. I'll explain all that stuff now to you. Okay. So we can't see your banner because it is showing the live version of the actual live broadcast. Yep. So when you're in creator mode, whenever you do a live, it automatically replaces your banner with the live. Okay. Now,
is that a new thing or it's always been there and I haven't seen it?
When creator mode came into existence about, I think 9 months ago. Yeah, that's when it started.
Okay, I thought it was something new that they were doing. All right, cool. So let me see if I can share my banner here. No, that's not it. No, I can't. I thought I could show it, but
no, that's okay. Because your banner is it's kind of a solid color with some wording on the right hand side.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll kind of go. I'll just kind of explain the banner. But what I'll talk about first is actual being in creator mode. So whenever you're doing a live, it's good to switch into creator mode. Okay. Yeah. If you turn that off now, though, the live will stop. So I wouldn't necessarily do it. But when you're actually wanting to generate leads and you're not doing things like live, you don't want to be in creator mode. And I'll explain why. What happens on LinkedIn is whenever you go into creator mode, and people don't really realize this, the where it says right now, that blue button that says open to, okay, and kind of in the middle of the screen, that default will say follow. Okay. If someone follows your LinkedIn profile, you can't do anything with that. You can't communicate with them. You can't reach out to them. It just means they're just following your profile. Yeah. Now they can send a connection request to you, but they have to click on the more button, which drops down to say connect. Now it won't on yours because you're actually on your profile. Yeah. But if a visitor came to you, but people don't know that. They don't know where that is. And what happens is when you're in creator mode, if someone did do that and they click on the connect button, it will actually pop up and say Mostafa prefers people to follow him. And people don't even know that shows up. Where the reality, you may not. That may not be your choice. You want people to actually connect with you, right? For sure. So if you're looking to proactively generate leads on LinkedIn, I'd say to move your profile off of creator mode. And there's another reason why, and we'll get to that in a second. But that's that. But in terms of your banner, at the top, what I'd say is have a banner that conveys credibility and authority. If you do anything from speaking on stage, or if you have any pictures of yourself in front of a conference room, or you could even just have someone take a picture of you standing up at a whiteboard drawing, that's what I call an authority play on your banner. It lets people know that you actually are teaching and doing stuff. Now that's if you're like a coach, consultant, speaker, trainer, or something like that. If you're not, have something nice created that conveys what you do. With imagery. So one of the things that I see is people will have a, let's say they're an accountant, and they'll have their background of hot air balloons. Like, what does that mean? There's just no relationship whatsoever. 100%. So have something there that at a snapshot, when people see it, because it's visual, that you have something that conveys that with a tagline. Okay. Where it could just say, helping chiropractors speed up their accounts or something like that, right?
Okay.
Just the tagline, so that the tagline ties in with the visual. Now you can go to Fiverr.com. You can get a professional looking banner created for like $15. I always recommend doing that. If you're not a proper graphic designer and you put up an amateur looking banner, it conveys that you do amateur work.
Yeah.
Right. No matter what you do. So that's kind of your banner side. Your image, I think, is pretty good. Your profile image. You know, I always say no mug shots. Yeah, and that's not a mug shot. It looks good. So either have something like you've got a nice big smile, which is good, so you can do that. There's also something around there which it may not be on there. I didn't actually see it when I looked at your profile earlier. But around you kind of have a gray circle there around the profile image. When you
profile video,
you will have a profile video as well. Do you have one up? I didn't see one before.
I do have one. Yes.
Do you? Okay, cool. So that's called a profile video. What's called a cover story. It's a 30-second video that I always recommend. You have to upload it through the app on your cell phone. You can't actually upload it on your desktop. But this is a 30-second video where you can just introduce yourself. And this is great. LinkedIn introduced this about 7-8 months ago. And what this does is allows the profile to go from static, just words and images, where people can actually see your real person, right? Which is really cool. So I would definitely recommend doing that. Okay.
Can I play on it? I actually literally just did it today. I didn't know that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
okay. Can I show it to you and people?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, here. Let's see if it will show up.
Play.
You know how a lot of businesses and sales
can you hear it?
Leave multiple 6, 7, or 8 figures on the table because they just hate to pick up the phone and do the follow-up calls? Well, our team of agents do the follow-up calls for you, so you don't have to worry about it anymore. If follow-up is a problem for your company, send me a message and I'll show you how we could do it for you and get you more appointments and referrals.
Yeah, that's decent. That's decent. So the only thing is maybe just introduce yourself. Hey, it's Mostafa here. And because it's just kind of an introduction. But as far as what you said, I think that's spot on. Just a quick introduction about the problem you solve and a call to action. Right. You've got 30 seconds. You can actually say quite a lot in 30 seconds. So that's pretty good.
So I was playing around with it for probably half an hour today. And then I actually ended up removing my names to be able to fit everything into that 30 seconds.
Okay.
Right. So I was like, well, people are on my profile and they're clicking on that video. But you're right. If I say, hey, Mostafa here, here's what we do. And, you know, I could re-record another one.
You could do, but yeah, you could. But I mean, that's a good video. It's a good framework for what.
All right.
So yeah,
fair enough.
Good. Yeah, good.
What do you think? Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, I think you're gonna ask me about your headline.
What do you think of this section here? What am I missing? How would you? So on the line it says call center specializing in done for you follow-ups, customer retention, and extracting referrals from your customer list.
So so if I'm reading this and I look at call center, I don't know who your target market is.
Okay.
Right? So are you? You don't necessarily have to answer these questions now, but like, you know, I'm a solopreneur. I think call center, I'm thinking of, you know, these big call centers, and I need to have like millions of dollars, you know, where you guys are making thousands and thousands of calls and stuff like that. Or can you help someone like me that may have an email list of 10,000, 50,000, and you're re-engaging with, I know a little bit about what you do most often. So it's kind of why I'm kind of asking that, but you know, is that what you do? So it's getting a little bit more clear around who you help. Yeah. Who you serve. And then when it talks about done for you follow-up, customer retention, extracting referrals, that element of it, I think, is pretty good. It's just maybe a little bit more clarity on who you actually serve, so I can self-identify with that and go, okay, wow, you do that for me?
Okay, right. So we actually serve now high 6-figure and 7-figure businesses.
Cool. I would put that.
Should I say from your list for high 6 or 7-figure businesses?
Yeah, you could do. Yeah.
Okay, let me just do that right now. I'm going to do it on the go here. Give me 1 second. Headline. I'm going to say for 6 dash seven-figure businesses.
Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah. Great.
So that was the first improvement.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
right.
right away, then when I look at that, I would be able to go nope or yep. Right
100%.
now, it could, I mean, depending on how you niche down, you may only work within specific sectors. You may even niche it down a little bit further because you might go, well, gosh, we don't want to
100%.
work with these type. So you could even narrow it down a little bit further. But
Say coaching
over,
practices or
yep, coaching
medical.
practices, medical, service providers, service 6-7-figure service providers. It's just things like that. You could just fine tune it even a little bit more, so you're not getting people.
Okay, let me try that. I'm gonna call this for now 6-7-figure coaching businesses.
Cool.
See, that's pretty specific, and I like it.
Yep.
Something that I'm guilty of. That is like, it's something that I teach and I talk about and I bug people about, but I need to do it for myself.
It's easy. I'm really good at coaching and mentoring, but I always have to have a coach help me with
yeah. So for this thing, it's like people are always like, why haven't you done it yourself? It's because I can't see my own stuff. I can't see your stuff. But now Jason is coaching me on this, and I'm like, yeah, duh, I got to do that, right? So
yeah, same for me as well. We're blind to our own stuff there. Okay, cool. So that's your headline, which is good. The other thing that I'll mention that I see you have, which is good, is next to your name, you have the voice pronunciation. It's a 10-second audio, and it's good. It usually doesn't take 10 seconds to say someone's name, so you can do a little intro to what you do as well. But it's good just for people to actually hear you. If you have a name that people mispronounce all the time, people mispronounce my last name all the time, you can always just say that. And it stops any boundaries of contact, because I don't know if you're like this, Mostafa, but sometimes if I don't know how to say someone's name, I'll be a little bit hesitant to say hi, because I'm just like, hi, because I don't want to, say, Mostafa, and you're like, no, that's not how I say my name. It's that sort of thing. So, but that's good. That's a good thing. Cool. So if you scroll down a bit more,
so the tip there, gang, if you're watching or listening, is adding a little bit about what you do probably after the pronunciation of your name, which I thought about, but I haven't done it. And Jason, I believe I need to do that through the app. I can't do it on the web application.
No,
so I need to go on my phone.
Yeah, your video, your cover video, and your voice pronunciation has to be done through the app, through the LinkedIn app on your phone. Yeah,
for sure. All right, what else?
Cool. So if we scroll down to, you should see your. So when you're in creator mode, things are flipped a little bit. So if you keep scrolling down past the activity, keep going down.
And they're about.
Yeah. So if we go to about. If you just click on see more.
So this is how I did it, and tell me if this works or not. It's at problem 1, problem 2, these are the problems that we solve.
Yeah.
And then I talk about what we do, how we do it, why it works, our expertise, and then says, want to see how we do it? Let's book a demo here, basically.
Yeah. So this is better than most, because what most people put in their about section is, I've been doing this for so many years. I've done this. I'm pay attention to detail person, and they write it like a resume or CV. Or what I hate the most is they'll write it in third person, and it's just so impersonal. So the problems I love at the top, because I call these your engagement questions, but you're identifying the problem straight away. You're wanting your prospects to know and that you understand what their problems are, right? That's the first thing. Now, what you do then is you go straight into what I call kind of brochure or sales mode. Hey, this is what we do. This is how we. So you're kind of selling. So what I always say is try to empathize with what they're going through, right?
How could I do that?
So when you talk about the problems, just say, look, I understand how frustrated you're feeling with what you're doing right now, because blah, blah, blah. You want to tell a little bit more of a story. And sometimes almost even telling people, look, it's not even your fault, right? I always like kind of putting something in there, because people feel like you're empathizing with them, like, oh yeah, okay, it's not my fault. Mostafa gets me, and
Yeah.
and so empathizing with them, and then telling a little bit about what you do, but in more of a story type of framework, where you're saying, it's not your fault. I understand the problems you're having right now. I've seen this for X amount of years. We actually worked with X, these types of clients, and we kept hearing over and over again how much money they were leaving on the table because they just weren't tapping into their list, and they kept looking for all these new leads, but they've got 50,000 people that they haven't emailed in 6 months, and so you're telling a story where people kind of go, yeah, that's exactly, Mostafa gets me. So you're saying the same stuff that you're doing with the green tick marks, but you're doing it in a way that you're telling a story where the reader, your prospect, almost feels like you're reading their mind, right? So
100%.
it's a little bit more of a flow into that, and say, so what we do to help solve, so some of the biggest challenges we see people have is blah, blah, blah. So we help 6 to 7 figure coaching businesses just like yours to overcome these challenges by blah, blah, blah. Just a couple bullet points, right? Having some examples in there is good as well. So, we helped one life coaching, digital coaching, whatever, okay, type of coaching business. They had this problem, and we helped solve it this way. This was the outcome. And then the call to action is good. So if you'd like to see similar results, if you'd like to see how we can potentially help you achieve the same, book in a free demo here. So it's just a little bit more kind of storytelling element of it to help the prospect feel like you understand them. But overall, to be honest with you, Mostafa, I'd say, if I were to rate this, 1 out of 10, I'd put your about section probably at a 7, because it's just, it's way better than most if people are looking for leads.
So I should get rid of, say, how we do it. Probably is irrelevant right now because they don't care about how I do it right now. Like the how would probably come when I talk to them.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
The why it works. The why it works, I should probably replace it with what you might call the story that you said. Like, here's a coaching company that I heard, like, for example, in this case, we helped them before and after the webinar, doing confirmation calls before, and we followed up with people after. We helped increase the conversions, booking appointments, and the rest of it.
Yeah. So
let me just edit some of this right now.
Yeah.
I love what we.
What I'll say, I mean, you'll know this, Mostafa, but again, it's just one of those things. Sometimes you're too close to it. But right now, you've got a lot of the features in there instead of the benefits of it. So you're just trying to get the benefits of that, and then you can explain how. Because once you get a prospect on the phone, you're able to explain how you do what you do based on what their actual needs are.
So tell me if maybe I labeled this wrong, but I said our agents stay in touch with your list with a friendly and nurturing approach to book appointments, get referrals, increase conversions, get critical feedback, and more. Is that a feature or is that a benefit?
So those are benefits, but I'd say how so when if you list the challenges above, or you could even frame it a little bit to help you solve these challenges. We help you book more appointments, get leads. So it's just a little bit of a change in the framing of it.
We help you. How about this? We help you stay in touch with your list with a friendly and nurturing approach.
Yep. Cool.
To book appointments, get referrals, increase conversions, yada yada.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm just going to get rid of what we do. I could probably play around with formatting, highlight to help you solve these challenges. I'd be like, here's what we help you stay in touch by doing this and that. Right?
Yeah.
Should I keep why it works in here? Or no?
You could do, and then under that where it says our expertise, you could just say client case studies, or you could just say, you know, here's some examples of how we've helped clients.
Under why it works, add case studies.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna say coming soon.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna add that later.
It's not, you're not writing massive paragraphs. Try to keep it, you know, 1 to 2 sentences max.
Sure.
You know, just really short and sweet. But you're wanting people to relate to it. Go, and if you have 2 or 3 examples, it's good, because you might have one example and they talk about like what you said, you know, the post webinar thing. Go, oh, okay, I do those. Or you might have another type of coaching business where it's just, you know, they don't do much with their email list and how to re-engage them. You want people to see the different elements and them to identify with that, at least one of those, and go, oh yeah,
100%.
wow, I want that.
100%. So Jason, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to eliminate a few of these because there's way too many in here. And I'm going to raise my hand for being guilty of trying to do too many things. So we specialize in follow-ups. Now, although I can help with people with their marketing strategy, but I'm just going to get rid of this.
Yeah.
And then strategic planning is another thing that I'm pretty good at, but I'm going to get rid of it because I don't want to confuse my people. And I'm guilty of this. Referral systems, I'm going to get rid of it. Although we do it, it's something part of the follow-up that we do. I'm going to get rid of it.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to leave it as follow-ups, customer retention, and lead generation. And tell me if I need to trim this even further.
No, I'd say that's good because you're doing lead generation based in the context of what you're doing by following up with their people. So, but all of that is more clear and succinct rather than all the other stuff, you know. So good. Yeah, that's great.
100%. Okay. So what about this, dude? Should I keep this? Want to see how we do it? See a 3-minute demo here, or should I change that to something more catchy? Or something that would,
you could do the only, so the thing about it with LinkedIn is you can't put hyperlinks, so you can't put clickable links in your profile. It won't allow you to do that. So I have to actually copy and paste that.
Okay.
But the other thing that you could do is, you know, if you'd like to schedule in a free demo, you know, send me a message here on LinkedIn and let's have a chat. So that way you actually start a conversation.
Or send me a message. Send me a message on LinkedIn. Is that what I want to say?
Yeah.
On LinkedIn. Okay, that's better. Actually, let me move out to the next line so it's more visible. Or send me a message on LinkedIn. Okay.
Yeah.
I am a lot happier with this. I trim it down. I always like how it less is more. And I don't want to get people to read like paragraph after paragraph. If I could say it with less, I will certainly do that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm happy with that. Is there anything else? Oh, look how much shorter that is. Oh, nice. Any other way? And I'm going to try to, Jason, I'm going to try to trim this top section as well with the problems. So, because I'm looking at it and there's too much to read. Right.
There's a lot there. You could almost even just put a line break in between each thing, just so it doesn't look like a bunch of text. That could, just by doing that could help.
All right, I'll do it right now. Oh, this is so helpful. Yeah, see, that's like instant improvement.
Yeah, because and this is something for everyone to keep in mind. We still write how we're taught in school to write an essay, but in reality, we're so accustomed now to read text, and text is like, I always laugh. It's like people will say one sentence, send it, another sentence, send it. Like text is just ding, 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 ding. And that's how you kind of want that, as opposed to these academic paragraphs that we create 100%. To look smart in our profile. You know, it's just people don't read that way anymore.
100%. So, Jason, the first sentence I say, most businesses have a list of customers and leads, but they're out there spending precious time and money to find new customers while totally ignoring their existing customers. Should I change this to you have a list of customers and you're out there spending time and money and ignoring your existing customers?
You could do, or flip it into a question. right?
How so?
Are you wasting money by trying to find are you wasting money by trying to find new customers, but ignoring the gold mine of your existing list?
Okay.
Right? Something along those. I mean, you can frame that better
Let me do the first
for your
one real
business.
quick. I'm going to say, do you hate to pick up the phone and do the follow-up and dial and do follow-up calls?
Yeah.
Answer, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Because now what you're doing is, so the one thing about that, so the problems are good, but they're statements. And so what happens then is when someone reads a statement, they don't necessarily connect with that. However, you know the pain points of your customers. And so by asking these rhetorical questions, they're like, God, yeah, I do hate picking up the phone, and doing this. Or actually, yeah, we've been talking about this just this last week, how we've got this huge list, but we're not doing anything with it. We're spending all this money for new, client acquisition, but we're not doing anything with our list. And by asking it just helps people go, yeah, exactly. That is my problem. You kind of getting them into that yes state. And then that's when you get into the empathy bit where you go in, to help you overcome these things. Or I understand how you feel. It just helps the whole flow of that to be very, very focused on who your ideal prospect is. I mean, you could even ask a question even a bit more specific to coaching business. Do you have a 6 to 7 figure coaching business, but know you could double profits by finally tapping into that dormant list that you have?
For sure.
Just certain questions like that you could ask.
100%. So I changed the first one to, are you spending precious time and money to find new customers while totally ignoring your existing customers and prospects?
Yep.
Second one, I still have to change. And then I changed the third one to, do you hate picking up the phone and following up on your calls and doing follow-up calls?
Yeah.
All right. And then I'll spend some time on this later and polish it up even more. So that was really helpful, gang. We just did some really good, improvements on the profile here. And I'm going to stop sharing it and then tap into it. So thank you for that, Jason. I really got a lot out of this. And I have a quick question. So on this, let me actually share my screen one more time, because I think this is some. If I miss it, chances are a lot of people miss it too. So in here, there is under this creator mode, there is that section called topics, and I need to select some hashtags here, right?
Yeah.
And I haven't done it yet. What's the best way to find relevant hashtags that is going to help my profile?
Yeah. Okay. Good question. So again, this is if you're using creator mode. For most people, I say, unless you're doing lives all the time and you're just looking for followers, creator mode is probably not the best mode to be in. But hashtags, what I would say is think of what people would be typing into Google, LinkedIn, whatever, to find your services. So oftentimes what people will do is they'll type in something like, they'll think of skills. So they'll think detail focused. Well, is someone looking for that? No, right? That might be your skill, but what problem do you solve? So lead generation could be one. It could be
what problem do we solve?
Yeah, so you could be list re-engagement.
Is that what people would search for? They would go and be like list re-engagement?
Maybe not, but that's as you better understand your prospects, kind of think of what are they looking for. It could be follow-up or
follow-up.
List engagement.
List engagement. Listing. Did I spell it right? List engagement. Okay. And I can always go back and edit this.
Yeah, you can edit anytime you want. Yeah.
So what about referrals?
Yeah.
Oh, how
Yeah,
about
you could do.
appointment? Appointment. One thing that we do is appointment setting.
Perfect.
Appointment setting. There you go.
Yep.
We do that. Is there anything else that we do? Appointment setting. Yeah, that's good for now. I'll have to spend more time on it, but that's perfect. So the key question was like, think about the problems that people would be searching for. And I think I could probably go in there and do some tag research on what tags are relevant to what I'm doing and that has high search volume, and set probably my profile for that. Am I in the wrong track here?
You could do. The other thing is you don't necessarily have to find a hashtag that necessarily has high engagement, because hashtags, they're not actually as important or as interactive as things like Twitter or Instagram. But what you're wanting to do is, if you're looking at like I'll just say list re-engagement, it may not be the actual term, but what you're wanting to do is when someone looks at your profile, does that keyword tell them the benefit you help them to achieve?
Yes.
Right. So that's kind of what I'm thinking of in terms of hashtags, as opposed to, detail oriented.
Love it.
They don't care about that,
Absolutely. This was beyond useful. And I got my hashtags set up right now. I'll probably have to spend more time on it to make sure they're more relevant. And like you said earlier, it's about the customer's experience and what they want, the problem that they have. And now I have the hashtags showing up. So I'll spend more time on it, and I'll try to put myself in my customer's shoes.
Yeah.
See what they
exactly.
would expect there. All right. Jason, you are sharing an amazing gift called LinkedIn mini course. Could you please tell us about that?
Yeah, so I've created a mini course just to help people get some basic concepts around things like your profile, how to reach out to people, just to help people get started with that. So it's a 5-part mini course. So people want that, they can just go to my website, impactforleads.com. They can see where to sign up there. And it's just a great kind of introduction to that. And then if they want to book in a call with me to discuss more about how I can help them out, then all is on there as well once they go through that mini course. But yeah, it's all there for free.
Love it. Love it. So gang, if you want to get access to Jason's free gift called LinkedIn mini course to get started and polish up your LinkedIn presence and how to use it and the rest of it, go to impactforleads.com and you get it's free, Jason, correct?
Yeah. You just just put in your name and email address, because it'll send out the link to it, to the mini course. But yeah, there's no cost at all.
Fantastic. So gang, the list, the website again is impactforleads.com. Go there and get access to Jason's LinkedIn mini training course. Now, Jason, can I ask you some personal questions?
Yeah, go for it.
What is something new that you have tried recently?
What is something
big
new?
Or small?
The most literally yesterday, a traffic generation ad on Facebook.
Traffic generation ad.
Yeah, I was chatting with a Facebook consultant that works for Facebook, and they said, "Why don't you try doing a traffic ad?" And I was like, "Oh, I've never tried that before." So that's literally something new I tried just yesterday.
Love it. Love it. Is it working so far, or?
It's I'm still testing it, but for so the traffic being sent to the website, it's the cheapest I've ever had. So we'll see. I mean, obviously just sending some to a website doesn't really mean anything. It's about conversions, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. You got to test these things.
100%. You probably have to run it for a bit until Facebook optimizes the proper traffic and the rest of it. Love it. What are your top 2 favorite books of all time?
Okay, my as a matter of fact, I've got it here. I recommend it. $100 Million Offers by 𝗘𝗽𝗶𝘀𝗍𝗍. If you have not read that, you can get it on Audible as well. Phenomenal book. Really, really, really good. And then just Think and Go Rich by Napoleon Hill. I know that's kind of a go-to for everyone, but that was one of the first books that I read around this whole thing around mindset back when I was around 18, and it just completely changed my world. So those are 2 books that I highly recommend.
Love it. I have read both. And I've recently also read the $100 Million Offer book, and it made a massive difference in how I structure my offer, and kind of help me help my customers as well. So if you haven't read these books, especially $100 Million Offer, you definitely have to pick it up. And here's a fact. You could have all the best marketing tools and systems and processes, be an expert, and yada, yada, and the rest of it. And if your offer sucks, you're probably not going to go very far. However, here's my experience, and I could be wrong. If you have a really good offer and you don't have a lot of the other stuff, you still could have a good business, right? If you have a killer offer and selling, you're still selling, you're bringing money in, and you can work on building the other stuff. But the other way around is a lot more difficult. That's my experience. So thank you.
Agreed.
Thank you. I appreciate it. What's one advice that made a massive impact on you or your business?
The biggest thing that's made the most impact over the last 3 years in my personal life and business is to keep a daily journal or diary, and in it write down your top 3 priorities for the next day that will move the needle the most in your business. You stay consistent with that. It changes your life. It's so simple. It feels like success should be harder than that, but it will change the way you focus and do your life. And it's made a massive difference in mine.
A daily journal, and in there you write the top 3 priorities that will move the needle the next day.
Yeah, not a task list. Priorities that will move the needle for your goals.
Love it. So let me ask you the question of how do you actually identify what's a good priority, what's not? So I know that would be a problem for people.
Yeah. So so this takes work and practice. So move the needle the most. So let's say you're wanting to generate leads. Then you'd say, okay, what am I going to do tomorrow to actually do that? Right? Is that look for JVs? Is it look on creating content? Is it a proactive outreach campaign? It's what am I doing to move towards that? Where a task list is, okay, I've got to do my accounts. I need to do the laundry. I need to do this, and think, oh, these are high priority things. Well, what happens is we get so busy doing these high priority tasks, and we think we're busy and wonder why we're not actually moving forward. It's because we're not prioritizing the things that will actually move the needle to move us towards our goals. So if we can think about it in that way, it helps us create clarity on what our goals are as opposed to just busy tasks.
I love it. I absolutely love it. On top of everything that you shared, these top 3 priorities that you need to do tomorrow to move the needle. That's such an essential question.
Yep.
And it's amazing. Love it. Jason, if you had a Facebook and a Google ad where everyone around the globe with access to internet could see, what would your message be for the people of Earth?
Ooh, gosh. That's a deep question. The first thing that comes to my head is do everything you can to positively impact your sphere of influence. My business is called Impact for Leads. I've always been really big on impact. So that's the thing for me. If we're always looking at how we positively impact our sphere of influence, I think we can do a lot of good in the world.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Jason, thank you very much. This has been a brilliant conversation. You dropped a lot of value bombs and a lot of amazing nuggets. And I think by just watching people just doing the teardown on my LinkedIn profile, they got a lot out of it as well. Gang, if you have to go back and watch what we did on my profile and probably try to replicate that on your profile, and do reach out to Jason and have a conversation with him. You could find him on LinkedIn. You could find him on Facebook. You could go to his website, and the site was impactforleads.com, and have a conversation with him and see how he could help you generate more leads, more organic leads, and polish up your LinkedIn presence. And, generate leads without being pushy and salesy and sleazy and all the easy peasy stuff, and do it the right way. Jason, is there anything that you'd like to add that we didn't talk about?
All I would say is your profile is the beginning part of everything else. Just updating your profile is great, but you need to have an actual strategy in place as well. So sometimes people go, "Oh, I've updated my profile. Why aren't I getting leads?" Well, you can paint a house. It doesn't mean you're just going to start attracting people to come over. So you've got to do people to get there to actually see the house in the first place. So
fantastic. So, and thank you. That is actually, that's like, you're right. That's the very first step of lead generation. There's a lot more to be done after.
Yeah.
So again, thank you, Jason. Again, thank you for joining us. And this idea just popped in my mind for the 100th episode that we just did. If you watched it this far to the show, comment on any channel that you're watching, put the word 100 as a comment, and I'm going to give you a 4-hour strategy session valued at $5,000. And only the people that have watched it all the way through is going to see it. And if you see that, I'm going to reach out to you and book a time to do it. This is literally a $5,000 offer. And I'm going to give it to one person. It's 4 hours. It's not a joke. So we're going to work on your marketing strategy. We're going to work on putting a plan together and an execution and an action plan. And you're going to walk out with a simple 1-page strategy that you can start implementing right away. Thank you for joining us. You've been listening to Daily Confidence for Entrepreneurs, episode 100 with my guest, Jason Osborn from UK. I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope that you found the teardown and the profile and the LinkedIn teardown useful. Go back, watch it, and reach out to Jason and get more help. And if you know anyone that could benefit from what we just talked about, please share the link with them and or tag them as a comment below, and share the knowledge and the expertise with them. Thank you very much. My name is Mostafa 𝗘𝗽𝗍𝗍, and we'll see you next week. Bye now.